joined by the amazing Anupreet Singh, somebody who's a renowned sales leader, somebody who's scaled GTM teams uh, on a different level, somebody who is somebody who's been looked up to by every sales individual in India, including myself. Anupreet, thank you very much for joining us
Thank you
today.
so much, Anirudh, for that wonderful introduction. Humbled and very, very excited to join you on this podcast. I think in any market, for that matter, they need to build their own intent algorithm. And it's far easier than, how scary it sounds in the first place. We've already, I think any seller who's been there for the last 3-4 years has already seen at least one economic downturn already in the form of COVID. The one thing that really worked out for companies that won in that particular, scenario, from from a revenue generation perspective. Of course, everyone lost something or the other because of the whole COVID scenario. But there were some companies that came out as winners even in that situation. And the big difference was that they didn't stoop their shoulders. They did not drop the ball and say that, hey, it's impossible to hit numbers. Not as a founder, not as a sales leader, not as an SDR account executive. So the mindset, I'm a big believer of mindset. I'm a big believer of ensuring that you believe in something that you're setting yourself up for. And so coming back to the algorithm that I was talking about to build high intent pipeline, is that you simply ask yourself some simple questions: that who in this market is still buying? And in any scenario, you'll find at least a couple of hundred companies that are still doing well. You just need to make sure that you're reaching out to them and not to others. And for your own personal targets, if you're talking about individuals, those couple of hundred companies are more than enough for them to overachieve their numbers. So don't go prospecting blindly. So for example, if hiring has stopped, then people are probably laying off, and in that scenario, reaching out to companies that sell let's say an ATS or an HRMS. You're definitely reaching out to the wrong companies, because they're already facing a huge backlash from their own buyers, and none of them are buying their softwares in this market, and so reaching out to them will be the last thing that you should do. So they will probably not buy. So you need to pick your battles in the scenario. Just use logical reasoning to understand which companies are still buying, and reach out to them, and build your own intent algorithm around it to figure out which companies would fall under that purview. Another hack that worked out for us in the pandemic was we reached out to companies that were still hiring. That was a great proxy. So when everyone was laying off, which are the companies that are still hiring? That was a simple intent signal that told us that, hey, these companies might still have budgets to buy tools also, because they're still buying. And you can go very, very specific in terms of your own tool and your own TAM around what that means further, and build an even specific algorithm for yourself. So 99% of all the emails that I get in my inbox don't stand out. And I believe that those SDRs already know that they need to stand out, and the stuff that they're doing to stand out is just not working out for them, because others are also doing the same thing. So it just becomes repetitive when it reaches my inbox. So because, they've probably heard the same podcast, they've probably read the same LinkedIn post, they've probably, read the same HubSpot course online, etc. The same strategies over and over again. So everyone is trying to do the same thing, and it just becomes again something that becomes one of the many emails that I'm getting in my inbox. So so to become that really that one email that really stands out, you need to be creative. So I think creativity is the number one skill that leaders should look for when they're hiring full cycle AEs or outbound SDRs. And the reason for that is that you can't just mimic something that is working out for someone else and hope that it will work out for you as well. Because by the time you start trying it, everyone else has already started doing it. So that becomes an important lesson for us to learn, that we need to have our own sense of creativity. So for example, one of my reps at Slintel used to create memes himself. to like stand
Yeah.
out, as against like picking one of the popular, ones on LinkedIn or from Instagram. He would actually create one for a company that he's reaching out to, right? So that would definitely stand out when someone sees that this person has gone to the extent of creating a meme for me. Now on similar lines, you could potentially like record a hyper personalized video of yourself, telling the other person why they should be buying. Like out of 200 emails that I get in a week, I don't get more than like one video, right? So the probability is that you'll be in the top 99.5%. So you'll be in the top 0.5% of all SDRs if you just send a video, and if you send a good video, you're probably in the top 0.01% of all the people who are prospecting. So I mean, take out the time to do something different. Send something funny, which is genuinely funny and is also relatable and also is personalized. Send a video, send an audio note on LinkedIn. People are not using it enough, and should absolutely be used a lot more. Stop spraying and praying. It just won't work. Stop using hacks to like scale up your personalized effort. It doesn't even make sense. Like making like a lot of people, personalization is like replacing the first name and replacing the company name using mail merge. That's not personalization. So I think do these things so you're able to stand out in your outreach. First big gap is lack of transparency from leadership to the reps. Like I see like tens of posts online that talk about how there's a haircut from the CEO to the VP sales, from the VP sales to the sales manager, from the sales manager to the account executive. And like even if the account executives are doing like 60-70% of their quota, or if 70% of all the A's are meeting their quota, the VP sales is probably meeting 90% of his quota, and the CEO is probably doing 110% of his quota. I think that is sheer lack of transparency and is not the most efficient way to like get things done. It might sound counterintuitive, but you have to bring everyone on the same page and like make sure that your reps are aligned to the company's mission. And that becomes the reason why they're working hard, and not because they have an inflated target to chase. I kid you not, when reps start doing 110, 120%, they feel like they're not doing good enough, even when they do a 90-95% month. You just need to give them that flavor. It might take a little bit of time for like super early stage companies that are still trying to figure out their PMF and their go-to-market strategy. But for companies that are relatively bigger, anyone who's more than $1 million in revenue and has figured out their playbook can absolutely set their SDRs and AEs for success to like constantly do more than 110% of the quota month on month. So like optimize for the number of people that you're hiring, optimize for the number of leads that you're giving to the reps so that they're able to overachieve every single month, and tell them that my quota is and this might sound funny, that my quota is like 20% higher than the sum of all of your quota. And so if you miss your quota, basically even if you achieve your quota, I'm missing my quota by 20%. So at least some of you have to overachieve your quota for me to actually meet my quota. And I actually did that in Slayton, and I actually could still beat my numbers, where the sum of everyone's quota was less than my quota. So like a lot of reps were doing 130%, 135%, and I was still hoping that someone else comes in and does, probably $40,000 more so that I can achieve my personal quota, because it's still higher than, what these guys are doing, even though they're overachieving. So it doesn't happen very often. I've not seen another leader do that or risk that much, but I've tried, and I can tell you that it does work. You get a bunch of, super motivated, super charged up reps, and a lot of leaders are struggling to get that kind of an environment in their company. So that's number one. Number two, I think, is ensuring that the reps are being helped. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So a lot of times, especially in the remote working environment, you would see like people working in silos and feeling like, there's no one to help them, and struggling to achieve their numbers. and as a leader, you may not have the time to like speak to everyone on a daily basis, but if you can create an environment consciously where everyone is speaking to everyone to seek help, where if some SDR got a meeting, he or she shares the message with the rest of the team in a group, and you make it more like a healthy practice to do that versus like unhealthy competition, which is like people hiding away their best emails so that others don't replicate that, or hiding the fact that they're a part of a community that they're getting some leads from that they don't want others to come in and see. It's natural for people, especially type A personalities like salespeople, to feel that they need to overachieve, and if every single time they need to be number one in the sales team, and so they tend to hide their secret to success. But as long as you tell them that it's not about being number one, it's about all of us overachieving, like out of all of you who's number one doesn't matter to me, as long as all of you are overachieving. And if half of the team is not able to achieve the targets, then all of us fail as a unit. And so the culture becomes that, and this, I used to love this at Accidental. Some beautiful memories wherein one rep who has already overachieved his or her numbers would just pass on his deal to like another rep so that he or she can also achieve his numbers. If he or she is at 90%, and like they would try to hide it from me so that I don't scrutinize it. So like those things are like super sweet in a culture, in a sales culture which is otherwise cutthroat and all about banging phones and all of that. And I think third thing is that stop measuring your reps on the basis of inputs. Even in 2023, if you're counting the number of dials per day and counting the number of emails sent per day, you did not do your homework around how to get the team to start performing. It's not anymore about the number of input or touch points. It's all about adding value to your prospects, and as long as your reps are trying their best to do that, I think you're already they're already doing their part. So I think these are some of the things that a lot of people are missing out on. I think if they can fix these things, they'll be able to go a very long way.
I really like that. Making 200 dials today probably doesn't make sense anymore. Just have actual conversations, and it's going to make a world of difference.
I think number one is research. And I can't emphasize more on the fact that you need to go into the call very well prepared. And there's a very logical, psychological reason for it, that you only deserve my time if you've spent enough time on me, as a prospect. So if you've not done that, then you don't get my respect, you don't get my time. And I'll be as disinterested as you were before getting on this call. So I'll be as disinterested on the call. Versus, if you tell me that for this 1 hour call you've prepped for 2 hours and you show it to me in your conversations, then you suddenly get that ultra respect from me, and I feel like indebted to come in and help you with whatever questions you're trying to ask me, over and above the ones that you already have answers to. Research helps you have some kind of small talk in the beginning, and then get into the conversation. That will like help you at multiple levels, one of them being that you're no longer just a prospect to AE relationship. You have more than that. You basically, like, just like this conversation started before you hit the record button, you were talking to me about my baby. So basically it just adds to the fact that you know enough about me, and it's not just about like this one-way relationship wherein I am supposed to just come and start talking, and then from there on the chances of me ghosting on you also reduce. Because now we built a relationship. So research leads to a good small talk, a genuinely good small talk. And then that genuinely good small talk leads to the fact that the relationship is so strong that you might not get ghosted eventually. So that is number one for a salesperson. The second is discovery. I would talk about it on every single, podcast, webinar that I've ever been a guest to, that you have to run a very, very good discovery. It's unbelievable how, at least 2 years back when, 2-3 years back when we were in the early stages of building Slintel, like discovery was not even a thing. Discovery call, like when I would tell people to do a discovery call, they would simply ask like banned questions, four banned questions, and say that I've done my discovery. And I was like, no, this is not what I mean by discovery. So the definition of discovery for me is that like if you have enough, and you should have a separate discovery call. And a lot of people again, would disagree with me because they'll be like, hey, I got a meeting with this prospect with so much difficulty, or this prospect signed up for a demo on my website. And if my first call is just about discovery and I'm not giving a demo, then, I am disrespecting the prospect. No, it's not about that. If you're asking genuinely relevant question on that discovery, then you're basically just telling the prospect that, hey, I don't want to waste your time on the demo. And, firstly, we'll only do the demo if there's like a big fitment. And secondly, I'll make sure that the demo is super personalized to you. And so all of these questions will only help us, take this process in a much more professional way. And so like I'll spend the next 15-20 minutes of today's 30 minutes on my discovery. And in fact, I'll give you 10 minutes back because, I know you signed up for a demo and not for a discovery call today. And, we'll just do another demo later. So like try to have a human conversation around the fact that this discovery is important. And then, again, you're selling, let's say, a conversational intelligence product. Don't ask questions like, how many employees do you have, in the discovery, or, what is your EBITDA? I mean, what I'm trying to say is that you don't need to ask unnecessary questions, on the call. So please don't. And like try to be as relevant to the product that you're selling and to the fact. So again, when you build your list of questions, you need to just ask one simple question to yourself: that is this question helping me, do a kick-ass demo? Will the answer to this question help me like even further personalize the demo? And make sure that, you're not getting any surprises while you're demoing the product with some kind of functionalities, or, so for example, one relevant question could be, hey, have you used Gong? Do you know Gong? So that some functionality of Gong that they really like doesn't pop up suddenly when you're giving the, product demo of your conversational intelligence product. And, you fall flat, in your demo because you don't have that feature. Versus, you now already know that he's a big fan of the deal rooms functionality of Gong. And so I don't have it. So let me come back with a strong, answer to the fact that we don't have deal rooms and they do. And, probably that question will come to me while I'm demonstrating the platform. So let me just make sure that I'm prepared with the answer to that, right? I mean, use the discovery call in that particular way. So that's number 2. And number 3 is that don't do deep discounting at the negotiation step, right? So I'm just trying to spread out my answer across the funnel. So at the last stage of the funnel, a lot of AEs, just leave money on the table when the deal is already done. And that's funny because, you took so much effort. Let's say your quota is like $50,000 a month. And let's say, you had this $20,000 deal that will take you to like, let's say 110% of your quota. You deep discount it down to, let's say 13K in desperation to, let's say meet your quota or just do 95% of your quota. You have no idea that this would have closed even at like the original rack rate. And so like you need to like understand that no sane leader will say no to a product just because of 10-15% price point here or there. Like if he's convinced on the value, you'll be able to sell at even that 10-20% higher price point. So number 1, you don't need to negotiate even if the other person is nudging you to. A lot of times, and this becomes even more complex when you are selling enterprise, when there's a commercial team or a team that is just dedicated for negotiation coming on the call to simply negotiate. There, you need to be even more thick-skinned because that the business wants this product. Their job is to simply negotiate because that's their KRA. But they will also lose their job if they end up not buying it because the business gave them a simple instruction that go buy this tool. They can't just not buy it. So for the sake of it, if you want to negotiate like 4-5%, that's okay. But, you don't need to deep discount your product just because, you feel that fear of losing the deal if you don't. So like this is like very difficult for salespeople to learn and adopt, but this is extremely important because you're leaving like half a closure on the table every single time you're doing that, and you're doing injustice to your own quota achievement. And like, I learned this from Todd Capone's book, but there's a very simple process to negotiating, which is ask someone something in return when you're giving the discount. So don't just give steep discounts for nothing in return because otherwise they'll feel that this is infinitely negotiable. I'll give you a real world example of it, right? So imagine you go to a fruit vendor and you ask him to give you like 1 kg apple and he's like, okay, that's 100 rupees. and you're like, oh no, I'll pay you 45 rupees, and he's like, okay, take it. Right, you'll be like, oh my god, I could have like got it for like 25 rupees. Oh shit, I think this is like bad quality apples.
I could
Why
have
did
pushed further. Yeah.
I would have, or you'll be just like doubting the quality of the apples in the first place, right? So either you'll be like regretting that, oh shit, this was infinitely negotiable. Why did I not ask for like 25? Or you'll be like, oh, is it even like good quality? Should I even eat it? Right. So like that is exactly what happens. Everyone is human, no matter if they're buying apples or products, software products. It's the same, kind of feeling. So you make it very, very difficult for them to get like even a 5-10% discount, and ask for like, timeline in return, ask for, testimonial in return, ask for a referral in return of giving that 5% discount. If you're giving 15% discounts, then ask for all three at 5% each, and tell them you can pick the cards that you want to and leave the ones on the table that you want to leave. So if you can't give me a referral, then you only get 10% discount. I'm sorry. I can't give you a 15% discount if you can't promise me a referral at this point. So yeah, I mean, that's how you negotiate. So make it extremely difficult for the other person to negotiate after you've proven the value. And if the person doesn't buy after that, it's not because of the pricing, it's because the value was not established. If you lose the deal because you didn't discount it by 40%, that it was still not the pricing. It was basically because your product could not win on value. If it won by value, you were winning that deal even at a 20-25% higher price point than the competition. And I kid you not on that. That if you're the vendor of the choice, then you don't need to negotiate. As I said, right, no sane decision maker will buy a product that is not of choice just because it was 25% cheaper. Because they've like, be it like SMB or be it enterprise, you've spent considerable time on your watch to decide on the fact that this is a better product. Now you don't go back and buy the inferior product just because it was cheaper. You just don't. And even if you are that cheaper product, don't expect them to buy you if you're the inferior one. So like, you have to make sure that you're coming across as a more superior product in your pitch. And once that happens, you are winning the deal, and you're not losing it on pricing. And if you're losing it, it's not for pricing. Even if the point of contact tells you, we went with someone else because they were cheaper, they probably are going with them because they were like slightly cheaper and were also better in value. Or like there was not a clear winner between the two of you. So both of you were vendor of choice and they just went with a cheaper alternative. But if you are able to establish a clear edge over the competition in your initial, and that's where the research comes in. That's where a good discovery comes in. So if you know that this is like, the most important feature that they need over your research and your discovery, then you can always remind them that, hey, but the other competition that you were talking about probably does not even have this. You said support is extremely important to you. These are some Glassdoor reviews about their support. So I understand they're 15% cheaper than us, but I can't match their pricing. But all I can tell you is that, our support will be far better than what theirs is. Here's our support's G2 reviews page, and there's G2 reviews on support. So just compare them. So like, you need to like hit them where, the pain is the highest. Those three things remain the same. I think it's just about, now because of the whole market scenario, it's about, building an even better product than what you would have done in like a much, better economy. In a good economy, almost every seller is overachieving their numbers and every product is selling and everyone is doing good numbers and the valuations are high and whatnot. In a bad economy, like bad products eventually die. And the good products eventually become like the biggest companies that you would see. Like, both of these downturns have shown like the same kind of promise to us that, if your product is super strong, then you will be able to sail through any kind of downturn and come out as like a very strong winner by the end of it. So I think the only thing that changes is that, use this time to like keep refining your product and make it like so good that, it just goes miles, ahead of your competition. Team, nothing changes. Probably one thing changes that, now don't look at hiring a lot of people, look at hiring like super high quality people. So like hire for quality over quantity any day, and obviously hire in a way that you don't have to let go at any point of time because of the economic downturn or something on those lines. If you have to let go on performance, then some part of it always happens, but try to not let go of people because of the fact that you overhired in the first place. So try not doing that, and try to over index on the quality of these people. And on the GTM strategy, again, just be agile with which is the economy that is doing well. Like for example, in today's market where India is doing really, really well, you could potentially just shift your focus to a market like India also. If you're an Indian company or an international company for that matter, you can't be ignoring India as a market which is doing really well in like an otherwise global economic situation wherein like most companies are kind of laying off a lot more than what Indian companies are doing. Or let's say for example you're a banking solution, then Indian banks are not doing bad at all at this point of time. If your product would sell to FMCG, then Indian FMCG is doing fantastic right now, and you could potentially sell like to ITC more than Procter and Gamble at this point of time. So what I'm trying to say is that like be agile with your strategy. Don't just stick to the fact that, oh, my team is only good at selling to US, or oh, my previous company I had US as the top priority, so I'll continue to keep hustling to sell to US or to Europe, even though Europe's economy is shaky right now, and people are not having budgets as much as even like Indian companies are having at this point of time. So just be agile with your strategy if you're in the go-to-market side of things, and just try to adopt whatever will help you get that immediate result. And obviously come back to your original strategy whenever things go back to normal. So that's the only difference. But obviously these are the top 3 things even today to build a successful company. In any good quality organization, the business leaders of all business units have to handle the P&L and be like answerable to any crazy spends that they are budgeting, even in a good market for that matter. And it's okay if some of your experiments go south, but you can't be mindless about your spend if you're building a great company. So I think yes, to your question, that CROs have always been custodians of the P&L for that matter. Like you have to be answerable to yourself, to the board, to the CEO around any mindless spend that you're doing, just because you feel that it'll work out. And again, it's not about not experimenting. You can always keep some budget for experimentations, but you have to be thoughtful about the numbers and make sure that your books are clean from that perspective, no matter what business unit you are, be it HR or revenue or marketing or tech, anything. Fundamentals can't change, which is that you have to get your hands dirty as a revenue leader yourself, as a CEO yourself. If you're just starting out a new company in 2023, you can't just expect to hire some SDRs and some account executives and have them come in and start booking meetings for you. It just doesn't work like that. For that matter, potentially you can even like delay the hiring of your account executive for some time, because you'll be the account executive for the longest time in your company. So your AEs might be acting as SDRs anyway, so might as well just hire SDRs or hire full cycle reps with the expectation that like you will be running your deals, but for the first 25 logos, I want to be like actively involved as the founder of the company. So like and there's no replacement to personal network at that stage of the company. And so like you have to leverage your personal network, your angels personal network, your VC's personal network, your early hires personal network, and like probably the second degree network of all of these people as well, so that you're able to get those first 25-30 logos running. And then from there, you eventually, by the time this happens, you probably start experimenting with some kind of AdWords and see if some kind of paid ads start resulting in some inbounds for you. You start doing some social media campaigns to see if some inbound can start dropping. Your first 25 customers could start referring you to some other companies, and then the GTM motion starts churning. But the first 5, 10, 15 customers have to come from your friends and family network. And nothing replaces that, to be honest. So don't rush into hiring sellers early on. You can hire some sellers, but then be with them, get your hands dirty. You're not the CRO unless the team size grows substantially and there are enough people for you to manage and they're doing their own thing. And then there's a hierarchy that you've built. Until that happens, no matter what title you own, you're very much an IC in the company. Without revenue, you're not like, being the chief of anything in your organization. So like first make sure that you have sizable revenue in the company. And for that, even if you need to prospect, even if you need to go close those deals or take shit from the buyers yourself, you have to do it. So you can't stop selling even as the leader or the founder of the company, and in the early stages at least. I think generative AI is real. That's not a fad. It's not Web3. It is here to stay. It's very, very practical in terms of its application. If you have a competition that is using generative AI and you are not, I strongly suggest you start looking at it now. Otherwise, you're losing the game for sure. And it's growing left, right, and center in every single use case across departments. So in 5 years, you will not use a single tool in your SaaS tech stack that is not using generative AI. So from your SDRs to your marketers to your coders to your finance team, HRs, every single person will have like easy access to the superpower of generative AI in the SaaS tools that they're using, and the SaaS tools that would like miss this bus will become like those on-prem CRMs that did not believe in the story of Salesforce or cloud and said that it's just not a thing that people would be comfortable with. It's coming fast and it's here already. So I think the biggest trend in the near future is generative AI, and I strongly feel that it will change the way all of us are working right now. It'll make all of us like super efficient. It'll remove redundancies in everyone's task, and it'll let us probably be creative again. And like the job of humans would be just to think and be creative, while everything else which is repetitive and mundane can be done by AI in the very near future. It's already arrived. It's not the future. I think one thing that he should continue to do is talk to other SDRs in other companies constantly. Like be a part of communities that allow you to do that. They just ping random SDRs on LinkedIn and tell them that, can I get on a 30-minute call with you? Like just vent it out, ask them what's not working for you, what's working for you, things like that. You'll be able to like learn what's working and not working in a different organization altogether in like 1 30-minute call. So that's invaluable. So they get some real pitches that have been working, some real cold calling openers from them, get some real emails that have worked out for them, ask them, if there's something different that they're doing, and keep doing that like 4 or 5 times in a week. So like if you're able to book like 30 minutes call with 5 different SDRs and 5 different organizations every week, then you're growing at an exponential pace in terms of getting like a gist of knowledge from like all these companies that have probably invested so much in their trainings and have so many cool sales leaders who've been passing on that knowledge to these SDRs, and getting to a playbook that really works for them. So I think you should constantly be communicating with the rest of the community, and that applies to almost all roles, but very, very relevant for SDR community in general, because they are usually the youngest of the lot in the company. And so like for them at this stage, they should just take Gyan from wherever it's coming. It's extremely important to take that knowledge in, even from like fellow SDRs if they could. I am more of a shorts guy, I would say. So like I'll just get into the the loop of watching some content which is giving me some kind of random information from here and there every single day. And for that matter, I'll double down, and if I like someone's content, then I'll double down and probably go through 2 or 3 episodes of that, and then just move on from that and go to something else. Same is with me for books as well. I literally skim through books and just go deep into like things that are more important and and are more interesting for me. I'll not go with the author and be like, I need to read all the books of this author. So I'm just one of those people who doesn't get hooked to like anything at all for that matter. Especially in this environment, none of your jobs are secure. So if Google can let go of tens of thousands of people, the best of the best companies out there are laying off, then your job is anyway not secure. And I've been talking to so many people that have been telling me that we were the best performers of our company. We got the awards just 1 quarter before we were laid off, which basically means that even by being the top performer in your company, you're potentially, in a large company especially, right, you potentially are still not having a safe job in this environment. So the bottom line becomes that if nothing is safe, then might as well take risks that you would otherwise not take if you had safer options. So one piece of advice that I would give would be to like go on and kind of fulfill your dreams, fulfill things that you're passionate about in this environment. And this is the best time to like start up. If you are passionate and skilled enough to do that, it's the best time to join an early stage startup. If you truly believe in the founder and you believe in the capability of the product and the market, don't join a company just because it's a large company, and the logo is fancy and your parents want you to join that company, especially in this environment, because like nothing is safe anyway. So might as well take risks and fulfill those dreams and experiment on things that you're passionate about. For that matter, like if you're passionate about music, you might as well, this might be the best time for you to take a career break for a year and try to experiment with music for a year and then come back once the market is better. Again, because if you get laid off 6 months down the line, you won't have enough time to work on music, and your piece of your mind space would also not let you create that music that you can do if you actually quit and work on it. Obviously, it depends on whether you have the financial stability to do that or not. But from a risk-taking appetite perspective, it no longer matters, because even like the biggest of companies are laying off in this moment. So might as well actually join like younger companies. And for that matter, if you're like the best performer in a young company, then you are getting noticed and you will not be laid off. Versus being a best performer at Google, where like the HR doesn't care what performer you were. You have to lay off like a certain number of people, and you've decided a certain logic to that, and you just let go of people overnight. If your company is only 75 employees and you are the top performer in your department, your job will always be safe in that kind of a setup, as long as the company continues to survive. So I think far better to join early stage startups in this environment. You just need to pick the one that you're passionate about and the founder that you truly believe in.
I love that. That's 13 Sales Secrets with Anupreet. I'm your host, Anirudh. I'll see you on the next one.